Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Focused and Fulfilled podcast. I am your host, Althea Walters. I'm the CEO, Master Trainer at Blazing Beyond. And this show, Focused and Fulfilled, we dive into real stories, powerful strategies, and life-changing insights from leaders, achievers, and productivity pros. Each episode, we explore what it takes to stay focused, achieve your big goals, and live a life of purpose and fulfillment. So get ready to be inspired. And today, my guest is Yaa Astar. She is a wellness coach and she's also the author of The Ambitious Woman Guide to Stress-Free Success. I am so happy to have you, yeah, and welcome, yeah. Just tell us who you are and your journey. Just talk to us a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it. And this is definitely an honor as a wellness life coach. I certainly didn't start off as a wellness life coach. I actually started off as someone who was very ambitious in their career in finance, and which led to many anxiety attacks, panic attacks, and even questioned my own worth, which led me to diving into doing fitness, doing anything fitness related, but I still felt empty. And I also realized that my clients also felt empty too, as well. And so, as I stated before, I didn't start off like this. It went through just my journey of just finding my worth. And so I try to find my worth in my job. I try to find my worth in my partners. I try to find my worth even in my own body, the way that it looked. But even still, after all of that, I still felt empty because I was striving for something. And I really didn't realize what I was striving for was just the acceptance of me, and
Mhm.
that how I could create my own success. And so, like I said before, it led me to just really having some complicated health problems. And I also realized that although I was, fascinated by fitness and training and helping people lose weight, I also realized too that although I was a health coach, my clients weren't suffering from, trying to lose weight. They were experiencing stress. They
Yeah.
weren't struggling with, okay, their eating habits. They were struggling with setting boundaries. They weren't struggling with, trying to get into that dress or trying to get into that outfit. They were struggling with just managing their time. They weren't struggling with losing the weight. They were struggling with other health issues. And so I want to share with you too is that health just does not stop at the body. It starts there, and it may end there. In all actuality, it ends with the body. So your health is your mental, your
Mhm.
spiritual, your emotional, and your financial. And so it shows up in different ways in your body. Like, for example, my kidney enzymes may be elevated up. Well, what's going on? Oh, there's stress in my body. What am I stressing about? It could be my finances, or I'm losing connection with, my God, or my relationships are not where they want to be. And so it's causing stress. And so guess what? This stress now is showing up in my body. And so after coaching so many women, I said, well, if she's struggling with it and if I struggled with
Yeah.
it, then we got to talk about it in the book.
Yes.
Um, because a lot of the women that I work with, even this morning, I talked to a client. She's struggling and she's going through the stress. And not only she's dealing with the stress of work and being validated at work, but she's also dealing with the stress of going through life change. And I'm not
Yes.
talking about a child, I'm talking about menopause. That's what I'm talking about. Now that's a life change. I don't know why somebody don't put that on at work. You're going through a life change, yes, menopause. But so now she has to try to figure out, how do I balance this?
Exactly. Exactly. So I hear it and I realize the more you talk, there are the root causes of the things. We may not be paying attention to them when it come on to stress, but we're looking at the surface level issues, right? How is it
Yeah.
that you actually help person to discover, to uncover what are those underlying causes?
Absolutely. So I use a framework called the Yaa framework. And
Okay.
so just using that acronym, so the Y stands for yield. Where am I feeling the stress within my body? Is it in my shoulders? Is it in my abs? Is it in my
Mm-hmm.
leg? It's different for everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
then once we realize, okay, it's, then how is my body positioned? Am I hunched over? What is my position of my body? Then we look at that. And then we move to A, the first A, which is being able to access, where did the origin of this stress come from? It didn't come from yesterday. It certainly didn't come from when we started that job. It's much deeper than that. So, for example, my origin of stress came from wanting to make my dad happy. So,
Mm-hmm.
therefore, guess what? My whole entire life was predicated on, would my dad be happy? Would he be proud of me? So therefore, I put on my own stress, making sure I got the degree. Well, a bachelor degree isn't good enough, so I went back and got my graduate degree. And
Right.
guess what? Being a lawyer isn't good enough. I've got to be an accountant, and so therefore, I would work hard, 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 hard. And so I was looking for validation, I thought, from my job and from my boss, but actually, the origin starts all the way back to when I was 13. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm 48.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was okay, accessing it. So now we are aware,
Yeah.
and that is so key. That's the last A. Once you become aware, now you can break that cycle, because I no longer have to deem success based off of my father or my parents or them or that or that. But now I can deem success off of, what do I believe success to be for me today?
Yeah.
That's actually, and that's where I work with my clients on, because you come to me because you're stressed about work, but in all actuality, there's something much deeper than that, and that's why we have to go through the Yaa framework to uncover it, so that way we can have that breakthrough, and so now you can live the life that you have now designed, not them,
Correct.
you.
You, right. It's all about you if you put it in that framework. Now, yeah,
Yeah.
you have had your own challenges in life, that health challenges, etc., that really even helped you to design who you are now, right? So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Gonna have to take the glasses off on this one. So I was sharing with someone like my own personal health challenges, and I, spoke about this, where even when I was going through cancer treatments, this is about 20 years ago. So I'm not just talking to you as if I just went through this only 5 days ago. 20
Hmm.
years, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so I had to go through chemo and radiation and everything like that. Most people take some time off of work, relax, allow their body to heal. Not me. I would go to my chemo appointments by myself, sit there for, probably up to 4 hours.
Hmm.
Then, what did you think I do after my appointment? What did you think that I did?
Talk to me. Tell us. Went to
Most
work.
people, I would go home and rest. No, I went right to work.
Went to work, right?
I went right back to work because, see, I needed to know that regardless of my health, I am still reliable.
Hmm.
Even after every radiation appointment, I went. So I still kept on doing that. And so, because I deemed my worth in my job, now fast forward to me here now in Atlanta, Georgia. I didn't go through one layoff, I went through four. I
Wow.
went through four. Like since the pandemic, I went through four. And I can remember, and every single time, starting in 2008, I I worked for an engineering company, and I mind you, we didn't just do 8 hours a day. That's a light day. We did 12, 15 hour days. I would get in there at 8 and sometimes not leave until 10 o'clock at night. And
Hmm.
so, because I wanted them to know that I am committed,
Correct.
I'm reliable, and you can count on me. Well, a year later, sorry, y'all, we have to let 12 of you guys off, including you. Oh, well, I don't understand. I was committed. Once again, so every single time I would overcommit, and then I would feel so like I don't understand. I am
Yeah.
committing. And then I did the same thing, moved to Atlanta, same thing. And I can remember with the last position I was with, I worked not only on weekends, that was normal to work on weekends, but I also worked on a holiday. I'll never forget. I worked 8 hours on Christmas Day with an employee, working with them.
Hmm.
And what do we got? We got the COVID virus coming through, and I was already essentially working from home anyway. Unfortunately, y'all, we're gonna have to let you go.
Uh,
That was it. That I was done with it. That's when I said enough's enough. I'm no longer going to put my investment in my job and not into myself.
mm-hmm.
I thought it was normal for me to sleep every other night. It was normal for me also to take call. And when I had my first panic attack, I'll never forget. I thought I was having a stroke, so I drove myself to the hospital. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't the first one. Then I can remember I had another panic, had an anxiety attack. I thought I was dying over at one of my friend's house
Mm-hmm.
because I picked up, it was a Friday and I picked up the phone. Hey, yeah, can you do this real quick? Sure, not a problem. Because you know why? I want you to know that you can count on me and rely on me. Still, I had an anxiety. And so I kept on having the anxiety and panic attacks. And my doctor said, "Yeah, if you do not do something, you are going to die just like your mother." Hear what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But okay. It still didn't stop me from still doing those things, but it wasn't until enough's enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where every single one of you have to get to when you have had enough. When you have made the decision, you know what? I'm no longer going to invest in them more than myself. And
Mm-hmm.
so now I push the table away whenever stress comes because I am not afraid of losing something that can be replaced, which is a
Mm-hmm.
job. But you cannot replace my life because guess what? The employer can easily replace me,
Yeah.
but
So,
can I?
yeah,
No.
yeah, those are, I mean, your own journey is a testimony even to where you are now and the things that we overlook. Because what I heard in your story just now is the fact that the things are, well, one, the overcommitment. So always wanting to push beyond overcommitment, not realizing sometimes that even though, yes, you want to show your value, you want to show, what you can contribute, there is a point that you will have to honor, right?
Mhm.
Because if you go beyond that, it is a point of no return. And what you're doing, the next point is that the stress was being built up over time, yeah? It was
Yeah.
being built up. So there are things and there are signs, but we don't notice them. What are some of the signs as we're thinking about stress and how they manifest? What are some of the signs? You mentioned the panic attack as one. What are any other signs that are there that we just don't realize yet?
So anytime there's elevations in any of your numbers, blood pressure, cholesterol, anytime any part of your body is experiencing anything, like I mentioned before, your liver enzymes going up. Also another sign is if you are extremely tired. That's another way. When there's mental fog, when you can't focus, that's the biggest one is when you can't focus. And then one of the other biggest one is when you're starting to feel depressed.
Mm,
And then another sign is, well, I feel like this is it.
yeah,
Is this all there is? And so once you start questioning yourself, then that's really a big sign right there. Is this all there is?
yeah,
I know that there have been people that have, had panic attacks at work, anxiety attacks at work, all because they are holding on to the stress. Who are you talking to? Who is your support?
mhm,
Have you set those boundaries? Are you managing your time? How are you dealing with your stress? Are you taking care of you?
mhm,
Because taking care of you goes beyond putting on the lipstick and the dress, but
right,
are you taking care of you mentally? And that's the biggest thing is when you are experiencing so much where you feel like you can't get out of it, like you're trying to get air. and
mm,
so and so your body will tell you, trust me when I tell you, your body will let you know, hey, it will
it
let you know
will,
when it's good enough. And sometimes it will allow things to happen to you to say, hey, enough is enough. And that's where
yes,
my anxiety attacks came from.
yeah, right.
Mhm.
Great. So it's important that we actually look out for these signs. We don't know. Sometimes we're so invested, sometimes we're so busy, and that takes over our life that we don't know what is happening to us. So we don't have the pauses so that we can identify the signs. Sometimes if you just stop, you'll realize, hey, I just need to rest. right? You shared that you struggled, you thought that you could just rest every other day or, just to get things done, but that is not, that's not what we should be focusing on. But yeah, I want you to tell me, in your experience, what are some of the biggest mindset shift that people need to make to truly prioritize their well-being? What are some of those?
You are enough.
You're enough.
And that is the shift right there.
Yeah.
I know that, for myself, for the longest time, I put my value and my worth in my job, in my career. And I felt like if I can just be seen, if they could just acknowledge me.
Mm-hmm.
But what it was I needed them to validate me, when in all actuality, I have to validate myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I say that to you and to many other people and to whoever is listening, watching, what have you. I want you to know that you are enough. You don't have to do not another single thing to prove your worth.
Mm-hmm.
You are enough. And that's something that I still till this day have to tell myself, yeah, regardless what they say or don't say, I am enough.
Yeah.
And I have to believe that I am enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Exactly.
therefore, if I believe I am enough, and if I believe in my own worth, then guess what? I'm going to be willing to take care of myself as if I know I am enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you are enough.
Exactly.
You have to really believe it in your being that you are enough. But if you say, oh, well, yeah, I know I'm enough, that's not enough convincing for me. You have to know. And when you know, guess what? You are willing to step away, even if that means the cost of your job,
Yeah.
because there's plenty of them out there. But if you
Exactly.
know that you are enough and you believe in your own being and believe in yourself, it's okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. That's a great reminder that we are enough because sometimes and the question we talked about in terms of prioritizing ourselves and even in life, especially the roles that we play in life as women, we also we deprioritize ourselves because everybody else comes first. We have to take care of the house, we have to take care of the family, we have to take care of the household, the arrangements, everything. And
You
then
were raised
life is
that
terrible.
way.
Yeah. And then
And
what about you? The engine, the vessel that needs to keep it going. Persons, depending even on your role inside of work, outside, community support, friendships. There's so
yeah,
many demands, right? And so we prioritize everything else by leaving us behind. And so that's where the breakdown is. So because of that, and because life is so busy and we can't find the time to do so many things and to take care of us, how do you help your clients to stay consistent with their well-being habits or to become less busy and more and less stressful? How do you help your clients with those?
so absolutely. I offer them a 6-month program through, it's a non-negotiable that we meet every single week. And when I say it's a non-negotiable, that means your time is not negotiable. That means if we are meeting every single week at 12 o'clock on Sundays, that means it's not because you're meeting me. It's
Yeah,
not because you paid me. It's because now we're investing in you. And so one of the things that I work with my clients on is let's create a plan that's going to work for your lifestyle. Because
mm-hmm.
it's a cookie cutter lifestyle. She may be single, she may be married with kids, or she may be single with kids, what have you. But what's going to work for you? And so what we do is we look at, okay, where do you want to see yourself 6 months from now?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you desire to be? And nothing is outlandish. Nothing is outlandish. We may just have to put some work into it. And so what we do is we work on, okay, how every single week we look at, okay, what are we doing to reduce the stress? What are we doing to manage our time? What are
Yeah,
we doing most importantly to create that work-life balance, meaning setting those boundaries? And then we also look at, okay, what are we doing to take care of our health? At the basic level. And so we look at those every single week. And I talk to my clients on every single week on what were your successes based off of the goals that we etched for you. So there may be three things that you want to have achieved by the end of the 6 months. What were your successes that week? Great, let's celebrate. What were some of your setbacks? No worries. Now, what is a way that we can come back and work on it this week? And it's
Yeah.
really important to know that this is not going all the way up. Sometimes there's going to be waves and curves and things like that as we get to, work on what works best for you. But the whole point of it is for you to have the life that you love.
Mm-hmm.
You love your life. And if you cannot say, I love my life with an emphatic yes, then it's time to seek someone, seek a coach to help you get to that life that you love. Because
Right.
the thing, you don't have to do it alone, because that's what we do so much so often is we think we have to do it alone, or that we have to carry this burden so much by ourselves. No, you don't have to. That's why we were created to be partners, to partner up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I can use my experience to help you and guide you. Hey, look, you don't have to do this by yourself. And one of the things that I do with the way I do my coaching is I add some humor to it. Honey, yes, yes. Like, your life is already stressful enough. Why do you want to come to someone who's also going to add more stress? No, honey, we're going to have a good time. This is going to
Exactly.
be for 1 hour. This is going to be your hour.
Yeah.
That's it. Every single week. What it does is I'm going to help set you up for the rest of your life. That way, when we're done, you don't ever have to come back to me because you already know what to do.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you mentioned earlier that there was a point where you're just seeking fulfillment. You were doing everything and it just was not making a difference for you. I'm sure you come across a lot of your clients like that seeking fulfillment. So tell me about that and tell me how wellness is important to help you seek fulfillment.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I come across a client, so it's very important that I listen. I don't talk. That I really listen to, but I really listen to what they really are trying to say.
Yeah.
So, and that's really important once I listen. And so then once I'm listening to them, I pick up key words that they're saying or key phrases. Ah, so you said this. Did you hear how you said that? And you see how that affects, you see how when we talked about that when you were younger, how it affects you now and how you're still living that life.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we have to look at, okay, we have to break that pattern. And so now we have to create new patterns. We have to create a new habit. And that is key. And so for me as well, what is the wellness for me is I have to make sure that I have a wellness program. So what's my wellness program? My wellness program is making sure I get up and I exercise every single day, even if that's just for a simple walk. I do my quiet time rather than,
Mm-hmm.
doing my prayer and that kind of thing. I
Mm-hmm.
do my exercise. I make sure I eat well. I make sure I only engage in healthy conversations. I don't deal with, negative conversations. I make sure that what am I listening to? Is it
Mm-hmm.
healthy or is it just negative? So everything that I do, it has to be, okay, is this going to help boost me or is it going to bring me down? Because
Mm-hmm.
I have been in situations where I didn't want to live any longer.
Right.
So what am I doing? So is this helping me or is it
Mm-hmm.
hindering?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a quote that says it's not the stress that kills us, but a reaction to it. Right?
Yeah.
How is
Right.
it that we react to the things and so we really have to choose and we have to choose powerfully and we have to choose deliberately and intentionally when it comes on to managing stress, focusing on the areas that you wish for fulfillment, etc. Now, the there are times when it becomes so difficult for us and we fall off track where we can't do it. But you said your program develops and creates this path for them to stay on track. How hard it is to get back on track after your clients have lost focus somewhere? How hard?
It can be, so it depends on where I find them, where they've lost track.
Right.
So if you don't reach out to me and you feel like you're so far gone, it's okay. And it's not hard to get back on track.
Yeah.
The physical aspect, it's not hard to get back on track, but it's the mental. And so that's where, okay, you can get back on track in as little as 24 hours, or it may take maybe a week. But what we have to do is bring you back to, okay, let's go ahead and review the playbook. Let's go ahead and review your successes, because that one thing can take you out, but it doesn't have to keep you out. So what we have to
Great.
do to bring you back in is, let's look at what you've accomplished so far in the little
Mhm.
time that we've worked together. Look what you have accomplished. You are now empowered. You're now able to say no. You're now able to, set the boundaries. You're now able to walk. You're doing all these great things. So don't let that one thing take you out.
Amen.
So let's bring it back. Oh, you don't have to stay down there. No, baby girl, no. You weren't meant to come this far.
Hmm.
No, you were not meant to come this far in your life and gone through every single thing that you have gone through to not to get to me to go back out. No, we don't do that. We
Yeah.
will find a way to find your inspiration so you can empower yourself, so you can make an impact in your life, so that way you can expand it to others.
Great.
Hmm.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so ownership, that level of deep ownership, you're knowing where you're going, you're knowing that North Star, you're knowing what you are about. Sometimes we need people to help us, to pull us up, to get back, focused on the track that we have. And so, yeah, I love that and how you support your clients. What is that one last, tip that you would say when it relates to wellness and stress management? What is that one last tip that you can leave with my audience?
Yes, absolutely. So, one thing I would love to leave with your audience is this, and this is something that I spoke on earlier on one of my social platforms, is knowing where your health is spiritually.
Yeah.
And I would say this is very important, and I'm not sure everyone's, backgrounds as far as spirituality, but find a power that's greater than yourself, that
Mm-hmm.
you greater than yourself, and seek time with that power that's greater than yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and look towards that, because when you look towards that power that's greater than yourself, it then can help you with your health, with your emotions, with your finances, because it can stem from there. Because sometimes when you find yourself feeling like you're doing this all by yourself and you have no help, well, that's because you didn't lean on your spiritual health.
Right.
So, and that to me, that is very important. Now, for maybe some of the audience members may not be there, but maybe you can do this. Offer yourself at least 10 minutes of silence, of just being with you. Just offer yourself just 10 minutes of silence. Maybe you can do a meditation. But if you
Mhm.
can just offer yourself just 10 minutes every single day, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time of the day, offer yourself at least 10 minutes
Mhm.
of just you. Silence. No cell phone, no TV, no kids, no dog, no cat, no plant, no none of that. But if you can just sit in silence for 10 minutes,
Mhm.
because when you sit in silence for 10 minutes, you have no choice but to face yourself.
Yeah.
You have no choice but to deal with you. And this is the time where you can say, I need help, and you
Mhm.
can reach out to someone.
Excellent. Great. Great tip. Thank you so much. Where can we find your book? Where can we find your book?
So this book, The Ambitious Woman's Guide to Stress-Free Success, you can definitely find it on Amazon. Just look for the book, and it's by Yaa Astar. You can get it on Kindle if you like electronic, or you can get the paperback if you like the feel of it, or if you're like, you know what, I ain't got time for none of that. That's okay. Get it on Audible, download it for less than a cup of coffee, and listen to it for an hour on your way to work or coming home or walking or whatever you're doing in your wellness.
Great. So, because wellness is key, wellness is the
Yeah.
key foundation for everything. And it fuels us to then go and achieve our goals and work on the different things that we have. So, yeah, it was a pleasure having you. How do we contact you? Where can we find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to my website, which is www.yaastar.com. I'm also on Instagram. That platform is Yaa_Astar. I am also on Facebook as Yaa Astar, and I am also on TikTok as Yaa Astar, and YouTube as Yaa Astar.
Okay, everywhere we find you as Yaa Astar. All right, it was great. You left some great tips with us. You shared with us that stress has origins and we have to be aware to find them, right? And locate them. And stress can come from both external and internal factors. So we have to look out for the signs. Consistency is also important in maintaining your well-being plan. And so we have to work on that. You shared with us mindful tips of, hey, listening to yourself, sitting in silence for 10 minutes, etc. And at the end of the day, you shared that you are enough. And if we stick to that mindset and if we acknowledge it, then we can plan for it and plan for ourselves. Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure hosting
Absolutely.
you today, and I'm sure that my audience will, enjoy what you had to share. So thank you again, everyone. This was the Focused and Fulfilled podcast, and I was your host, Althea Walters. So we look out for Yaa Astar, and her episode will be out soon.